You did. What's your question? I'm sorry? Okay. All right, cool. So let me explain this. He had a question and he forgot. Are you a Patriots fan? Is that what happened? Okay. I'm just kidding. All right, so here's what happens. The Biggest Loser. I mean, when I went to the show, I had already made a change in my life and decided to start losing weight. By the time I actually got to the show, I was 447 pounds. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but when you actually make it to the show, they take away your cell phones and take away computers. You have absolutely no contact with the outside world except for writing letters. And so those last few days in the hotel, we're on the phone talking to our families as much as we possibly can. That's why you cry when they do the Letters from Home challenge. If y'all are familiar with the show and you see the show and you see people, that's why, because you haven't seen your family, talk to your family in so long. You can write letters, but even those letters are screened. So, but anyway, we're on the phone. I remember talking to my wife and I was saying, honey, I'm 447 pounds, but I don't know if they're going to select me to be on the show. I don't think I'm fat enough. So imagine that. I mean, that's how you can sort of accept where you are and think it's okay and kind of justify things in your mind. You know, people, when I played in the league, people used to always say, you're big, you're not fat. But 447 pounds, it doesn't matter if it's big or fat, it's too much. But I convinced myself somehow that it was okay for me to be 447 pounds, and it wasn't even enough. I wasn't big enough. I wasn't one of those guys. And as it turns out, I absolutely was. But getting to the show, someone earlier asked me if I ever thought about quitting. I told my wife I would never quit. That was the one thing she didn't have to worry about. I would never quit the show. She didn't have to worry about it. I was ready to quit about 10 minutes into the workout with Bob Harper. I was ready to come home. I remember being on the floor on my knees and I was like, I think I can do this at home. I don't need this. But I couldn't. And that was a fleeting moment, thank goodness, that I was able to sort of stay through the show, finish it out, and do what I was able to do on the show. At the end, like I said, I was 447 pounds when I went to the show and wound up losing a total of 202 pounds. So it's been pretty incredible. Again, the commercials, now here's what happens. We're talking to you guys today primarily about the commercials that you saw in the Super Bowl because we knew people were going to see the Super Bowl and we knew you were going to be bombarded with a lot of stuff. Who knows how much money for a 30-second spot? Sir? 3.7 million, that's about exactly right. 3.7 million for a 30-second spot. That's a lot of money to convince you guys to eat M&Ms, right? A lot of money, right? But they were also trying to convince you that, Mr. Foster brought up Prohibition. When they brought up Prohibition, not only did they bring up Prohibition, but they tried to make it seem like it was the best thing ever when it was ended. And so it's not only buy my product, but it's also, my product is the best thing out there. You have to have it. Please make this choice. And that's the part that I think is kind of missed. We know they're bombarding us with their products. We know they want us to buy the products, but at the end of the day, when you go to the store, you have to make the choice. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Regardless of how much money they spend on the commercials, ultimately, it's your choice on what you decide to pick up. And that's what I want you guys to focus on. You guys are going to have lunch immediately after this period, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying you're never going to have M&Ms again. I'm not saying you're never going to have Doritos again. I'm saying I don't want you to have it every single day. And I want you to be more conscious of the choices that you make every single day. Don't look to someone else to do it for you. Don't wait for someone to tell you to lose weight. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's bad for you. You guys are smart. And you guys know what's good and what's bad. I guarantee if I had 10 dishes up here, you guys can pick out the 5 that were good and the 5 that were bad. So you have the knowledge already. You have the intelligence already. Understand that the lifestyle change that they all talk about on the ranch, the lifestyle change is making those daily choices and not saying you're never going to have something again. I think that's an extreme. I don't want you to go to an extreme. I want you to start managing every day what you eat and focus on it. Like I said earlier, if you do it now, it'll be second nature and it won't be any big deal later. That's what I want you guys to do, and that's the takeaway I want you guys to have. All right? Okay, let me take some questions at this point, and then I'll continue on if you guys have anything that you want to ask about. I'm sorry, I really can't hear you. If you could maybe stand up and just yell at me. Will one of you guys help her ask the question maybe next to her? Why are we the fattest? What? Why are we the number one country in obesity? That's an interesting question, and I don't know that I have the answer to that. I can tell you this. I can tell you we have probably more choices than a lot of people. If you want to come on out and help me with that one.
That's a great question. And a couple of the reasons are because of our portion sizes have more than doubled in the last 50 years. When your grandparents went to the movies, their bag of popcorn was like this big. Now a bag of popcorn is like this big. So our portion sizes have more than doubled, and also we have become a lot less active. We sit and watch TV, we play computer, we play games, so we're not as active as we used to be. Those are the two biggest reasons why we are the number one obese country in the world.
And that's the one that I wanted you guys to really focus on. There are video games that you guys have, my kids have them too, that we simply didn't have when we were younger, and those things force you to more or less sit. I mean, think about the electronics that are available to you. Those electronics require you to be still for the most part and be sedentary. And what we want to encourage you guys to do is to continue to stay active. If nothing else, if you don't believe anything we say, look at what's around you, look at the people around you, and decide, are they really that many people overweight, and why? Just ask yourself, do your own research and look at it. Yes, sir. How did I feel when I was joining? Well, I was excited to get on the show. I mean, you know, you're 450 pounds. I mean, I was absolutely miserable, you know, and I couldn't run, you know, couldn't go up these stairs without being out of breath. And to be able to get on a show like that and start accomplishing amazing things is incredible. I mean, we ran a marathon. It was actually a real marathon.